Part 28. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 271. Gu's mother paused, looked up and down at the rugged man, and made sure she didn't recognize him, so she walked to the left. Block the person in front of you on the left. Mother Gu took a step back to the right, but the man blocked her on the right again. After enduring it, her fiery temper could not be restrained. Mother Gu's eyes were full of anger and she said directly, "The road is so wide, are you deliberately looking for trouble? Are the eyes on your face just for you to bully the old, weak, women and children?" Qin Yang's eyes widened slightly, and he was surprised that the little woman in front of him had such a bad temper. She is a shrewish and savage woman from the countryside. In his impression, the woman who could make Gu Qingsong obsessed with her should be a little woman with beautiful appearance, gentle temperament, and very charming. This woman has a face like a jade plate, fair skin, and a few deep wrinkles at the end of her eyes. From her facial features, it can be seen that she was a beauty when she was young. The ravages of time have made her invisible to the public. Only by paying close attention can you taste the unique beauty of this age. The charm is not as beautiful as Liu's at first glance. Although she is thin, she is not as voluptuous as Liu. Wearing simple clothes, she is not only not good at dressing up, but also very unscrupulous. It is difficult to see her in a crowd. Qin Yang looked up and down and found nothing special about her, so he asked Gu Qingsong to guard her for many years. For a person with Gu Qingsong's status, even if his original wife and children are by his side, and his wife has a stunning beauty, it will not prevent him from having a group of concubines. He had full confidence in this trip. As long as he told her that Gu Qingsong was still alive and that although he married a wife, it was not what he wanted and she was deceived, she would be able to forgive Gu Qingsong easily. "Madam, my name is Qin Yang, and I serve under King Changxing of the Western Liang dynasty. King Changxing is your husband-in-law Gu Qingsong." Mother Gu was stunned. Gu Qingsong. I haven't heard anyone mention it for many years, but suddenly I heard it from a stranger, and I felt like I was in a trance. The name that was originally sealed deep in the memory was dug out and became as vivid as before. After a while, Gu's mother calmed down and said with a straight face, "Don't try to lie to me. He is still alive. He is living a prosperous life in Ziliang. He has come to pick up our girls a long time ago." "What? Will you wait until today?" Gu's mother did not forget Gu Huizi's advice. The situation in the capital was tense and he had a special status, so he was afraid that someone would attack his weak spot. Family is Gu Huizi's weakness. Gu's mother was very vigilant and determined not to hold Gu Huizi back. "MR's sister-in-law, the prince came to see you. He mistakenly thought that you were dead and was plotted by MR's Liu. He thought that MR's Liu was pregnant with his child, so he had no choice but to marry MR's Liu. Don't worry, he has never touched another woman and has always been thinking about her. You asked me to come to Dazhu to find you. I was confused at first and was tricked by MR's Liu. I was threatened by her and colluded with her to deceive the prince and you are really dead." Gu Huizi went to Ziliang this time. After the father and son met, the lie was revealed. "I apologized to the prince and came to Dazhu to apologize to you and explain the reason." Qin Yang looked at the people around him and said in a low voice, "I wonder if MR's sister-in-law can move. Let's find a restaurant, and I can tell you in detail." Hey! She knew it was a liar. Knowing that her son was in Ziliang, he deliberately made up lies to deceive her. As soon as she followed him and escaped from the protection of the secret guard, this man would surely tie her up. "Am I really your sister-in-law?" Gu's mother asked uncertainly. Seeing her doubtful look, Qin Yang nodded hurriedly, "You are." "Okay." Gu's mother pointed toward the door, "Get out of here." The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 272. Qin Yang looked at Gu's mother in shock. Gu's mother raised her eyebrows and raised her eyebrows. Didn't you say that King Changxing is my man? Since you are his subordinate and you don't obey my orders, do you want to do the following? Or? Her voice suddenly changed, and her expression was fierce. Are you lying to me? Qin Yang was speechless when he saw Gu's mother's expression. Don't try to trick me like a fool. After thinking about it, I can understand it. Anyone else would not believe it if they learned that a person who had been dead for many years was actually still alive. MR's sister-in-law, I was abrupt this time, but every word I said is true. If you don't believe it, you can write to Gu Huizi. He knows exactly what the facts are. Qin Yang is ready to get strong proof and come again looking for Gu's mother. He warned before leaving, Liu's father has fled back to Dazhu. He will definitely look for you. Please pay more attention. Qin Yang thought of Gu's mother's suspicion and felt that his instructions were unnecessary. I'll come see you next time. After leaving these words, Qin Yang strode out. Hurry up and catch him. Gu's mother raised a piece of cloth and slashed it at the back of Qin Yang's head. Qin Yang quickly avoided it, and the next moment, he was tied up by a net. He gasped and watched as 7 or 8 secret guards surrounded him. Madam, my name is Qin Yang, you can send someone to Ziliang to investigate. Qin Yang was embarrassed and disgraced. The matter was not accomplished and instead he became a prisoner. The child's father is still alive and he is a general. Why don't you come to me yourself? Even if I send you to come to me, there are several of us, why can't you come alone to pick him up? If you don't want to make a big fuss, you have to have a token? With just a few words, you think I believe your lies? Are you stupid, or am I being kicked in the head? Gu's mother ordered the secret guard, take him back and interrogate him carefully. It seems that there is an accomplice named Lu. Yes, the secret guard took the cloth from her hand. Gu's mother rolled her eyes at Qin Yang and left with the basket in her arms. MR's sister-in-law, MR's sister-in-law. Gu's mother ignored it and bought some braised pork ribs in a good mood, preparing to add some vegetables in the evening. The streets are busy with traffic and pedestrians are coming and going in a hurry. Gu's mother felt sad. It has been a long time since I thought of Gu Qingsong. Even though she knew it was impossible for him to come back, Qin Yang's words still left waves in her heart. A carriage stopped in front of her. Mother Gu came to her senses and stepped back. The curtain of the carriage opened, and a thin figure emerged from the carriage. After Gu's mother saw it clearly, she shouted in surprise, "Wan Wan!" "Mom!" Suwan jumped out of the carriage. Gu's mother hugged Suwan. She was so thin that there was no flesh on her body. She said distressedly, "You're thin. You've lost a lot of weight. You've suffered a lot along the way. No, I'm going to wear thin clothes soon. I'll be thinner and look better." Suwan took the basket, took Gu's mother's arm, and led her to the carriage. "What have you not done later? I'll accompany you." "Do it." "I haven't seen Jingyun and Beizu for more than half a year, and I bought them a lot of things. How many days will you stay with me?" Gu's mother was not stupid. Suwan and Gu Huizi had just arrived in the capital and would not leave the capital immediately without waiting for her to meet Gu Huizi. He couldn't help but think of Qin Yang, and felt uneasy in his heart. She asked hesitantly, "Wan Wan, someone just said that Huizi's father is in Ziliang Kingdom, have you met him?" Suwan's smile faltered. The carriage that was driving slowly stopped suddenly. Suwan thought of something, opened the curtain, and immediately saw Gu Qingsong blocking the carriage. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Bao Bao. Chapter 273. Gu Qingsong was dressed in a dark blue gown and came in a dusty journey. His brows could not hide his tiredness, but his eyes were particularly bright. He stared closely at the carriage and saw Suwan's face in the window. His hanging heart finally calmed down. This direction was out of the city. If he was a step late, he would probably miss the Lu family again. His Adam's apple slid and he was about to speak. With a swish sound, the curtains were pulled down. Drive. Suwan tapped her fingers on the car wall. Gu's mother saw that Suwan looked wrong and her black eyes were extremely bright because of her anger. She asked with concern, Wan, have you encountered something troublesome? She was about to lift the car curtain, but Suwan held her hand down fiercely. Wait a minute. Suwan was really angry that Gu Qingsong appeared beside Gu's mother rashly without considering her feelings. When Gu Qingsong was not dead, and when he met Gu Huizi and tried to repair the relationship, Suwan knew that Gu's mother would eventually find out. She planned to find an opportunity to tell Gu's mother after she left the capital, so that she could have a buffer in her heart, calm down, and then think about how to deal with this relationship. But Gu Qingsong came at this time and did not prepare his mother at all. Wan, is the matter difficult? Gu's mother held Suwan's hand. She seemed to have lost weight and her physique was not as good as before, as if she was touching an ice cube. Mom, I have something to tell you. Suwan bit her lip. It was better for her than to hear from Gu Qingsong. He said that he had married another woman and lived under the same roof for several years. Mother Gu tightened her fingers a little, and her uneasiness deepened as Suwan became more worried. We did meet Huaiji's biological father in 11 Liang. He served in the army in 11 Liang and made meritorious service, and was named king with a different surname. When he was hunting in the mountains, he was not killed by wild beasts. Instead, a rich lady who bought his prey took a fancy to him and hatched a conspiracy. He was forced to fall to the bottom of a cliff and was picked up by the rich lady, causing his death. The illusion of the beast's mouth. He was seriously injured and was in a coma for nearly half a year, unable to walk with his legs. Mrs. Lu, that is, the rich lady, had brought him to Ziliang at this time. To lie to him was to seek revenge from his enemies, because if he broke a man's leg, that man would kill his whole family. He didn't believe it and insisted on coming to Dazhu. Mrs. Lu accompanied him to Xinghua village. At that time, you sold the ancestral house. He saw the village chief and his family coming out of the ancestral house with the silver jewelry you pawned, so he believed Liu's words. Mrs. Lu wanted to marry him, so she climbed into his bed while he was drunk, creating the illusion that the two were married. Soon after telling him that she was pregnant with a child, he married Lu and gave her her birthright. Mrs. Liu's child was born with a congenital defect and was in poor health. She had been seeking medical advice. He loves his children very much, and he found out not long ago that this child is not his, and everything was a plot by Lu to marry him. He disposed of the Lu family and placed the child in Bama Temple, where he was raised by a senior monk who knew medicine. Suwan also told the story about Qin Yang being sent to Dazhu by Gu Qingsong, impartially, without any distortion or concealment. He knew that you were still alive and had been looking for Huizi to repair the relationship. Now that he has come to Dazhu, you are. What do you think? What did she think? Gu's mother didn't know. She was hit too hard and her mind was in chaos. Her face was cold, she touched it with her hand, and then she realized that tears had flowed down her face. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 274. The man she had been searching for and waiting for was not dead, and was living a prosperous life. When you are successful and famous, a beautiful woman is by your side, and your young son is around your knees. The scar on his heart was torn, a thorn was driven into it, and it was dripping with blood. It turned out that she was the only one left there struggling. deeply trapped in regret and self-blame. He blamed himself for talking too much and wanting to eat something sour. It turned out that he didn't have to go up the mountain that day, so he went into the mountain carrying a hatchet in order to pick wild fruits for her. Suffering every day. Unexpectedly, the root cause of everything was just the peach blossom debt he incurred outside. Mother. Suwon wiped Gu's mother's tears with a handkerchief. She looked sad, as if the faith in her heart had collapsed. Her heartbroken look made her feel very sad. What decision do you make? We all support you. Gu's mother shook her head. At this moment, she couldn't make a decision. All kinds of thoughts rushed to her, almost overwhelming her. I want to calm down and calm down. Mother Gu's voice was hoarse. Suwon nodded and hugged Gu's mother. It was only after this hug that I realized that Gu's mother had also lost weight rapidly in the past 6 months. But fortunately, I look good. After going through this, I don't know when she will be able to adjust. Cinnamon. Gu Kingsong's hoarse and deep voice sounded. Gu's mother was shocked, and she suddenly raised her head and looked outside the car. A green cloth curtain blocked her sight. Gu Kingsong continued, I know you are in the carriage and I have something to say to you. I hope you will give me a chance. Mother Gu clenched her fingers into fists. She hadn't yet digested what Suwon had told her. She was a little flustered when she was about to see Gu Kingsong. Wan, Gu's mother asked Suwon for help, I don't want to see him now. Before the words could be finished, the car curtain was raised, and Gu Kingsong's face came into Mother Gu's eyes. Mother Gu stared at Gu Kingsong blankly. The man in front of her had not changed much from before. He only had a longer beard, and his eyebrows were sharper. The scar on the bridge of his nose added a bit of violence to him, making him look even more uncomfortable. Easy to mess with. Gai Xiang, I'm back. Gu Kingsong stared at Gu's mother intently, and said with difficulty in his throat, I hope you can forgive me for being late. Gu's mother was originally in a panic and confused thoughts. The moment she saw Gu Kingsong, she suddenly became extremely calm. She took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. No need to say whether to forgive or not, I just have a few questions to ask you. You ask. Mr. Liu brought you to Ziliang. Why didn't you stay after you returned to Zhou dynasty? Gu Kingsong was stunned, obviously not thinking about this problem. The bad news was confirmed at that time. He stayed in front of the grave all night and fell ill again. Mrs. Liu took him back to Ziliang. He woke up once during the journey, but at that time he was in grief and couldn't think of his way out. Seeing that he couldn't answer, Gu's mother lowered her eyes, do you like Mrs. Liu? I don't like it, Gu Kingsong answered simply. After you got better, why didn't you leave the Liu family? Mother Gu's question was very sharp. There are differences between men and women. How can you interfere with her if you keep this line of defense? Gu Kingsong was asked again. At that time, he left the Liu family to join the army. In his mind, he was leaving the Liu family. But because of this kindness, he could not refuse the Liu family's invitation. At this moment, Gu Kingsong realized a problem. Liu's conspiracy was able to succeed largely because he gave him the opportunity. He was not innocent, but deserved it. The last question. Mother Gu looked at Gu Kingsong coldly. From the moment she learned the truth to now, she has never been so calm. Ms. Liu did not betray you, and the child she gave birth to is also your flesh and blood. You know what will you do if you are still alive? The author has something to say. Babies, today's update is complete. See you tomorrow. Good night. Okay. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 275. Everything was silent, except for the shouts of the vendors. Gu Kingsong didn't think about this problem. When he learned that mother and son were still alive, Liu's conspiracy broke out. This problem didn't exist, so he didn't think about it. In the past years, he had been looking for the mother and son, but he had not found them, nor had he considered them. When she asked, Gu Song replied without hesitation, I will bring you to my side. If you can't accept Mrs. Lu, I can give her the family property and go back to Dazhu with you to open a small shop and live a happy life, ordinary and busy life. At that time, the Lu family was kind to me in my heart. It was because I had problems in dealing with things and knew Mrs. Liu's thoughts, so I was not decisive in my actions. If I had given them a generous reward at the beginning to repay Mrs. Liu's kindness for saving me, in the future, if their lives are in danger or their business encounters difficulties, I will come to their rescue and this will prevent mistakes from happening. After Lu Mao's refusal, he did not deal with it with a strong attitude, but just put it aside. When Lu Mao returned to the capital, he sent someone to invite him to come and talk about old times, so he could not refuse and let Lu take advantage of it. And enter. Between you and other women, I chose you from the beginning, Gu Song emphasized, it has never changed. If he had chosen Lu, he would not have never touched her. Gu's mother shed 2 lines of clear tears, her throat choked with sobs and said, you are the prince of Ziliang, guarding the peace of the people, and you shoulder the responsibility. You don't have time to come to Dazhu to find our mother and son. I can understand that protecting the family and the country is what a man should do. Only by taking care of everyone can we have peace in our little family. Lu is a rich lady. The distance between Ziliang and Dazhu means that you should have very skilled guards around you, who can ensure that you can escape unscathed when you encounter gangsters. I heard Wan say that the person who besieged you back then was a gangster. You could force him back with your bare hands, let alone those guards. If they come again to seek revenge, can they touch you? No, just taking advantage of your wishes, the reporting officer arrested them and avenged the family feud along the way. To put it another way, if you go to the village to sort out the belongings of our mother and son, this separation will not happen. Gu Song felt as if a heavy hammer had fallen on his heart, and his heart was broken. Let me ask you, when did you come to Xinghua village? The first day of September. Gu Song, this day is the death anniversary of your youngest son. Mother Gu's heart was like a knife, and the despair that day swept over her. She burst into tears. You only said that you arranged for Mrs. Lu. If her child doesn't want to, you and your wife are separated, what should you do? The word husband and wife has a very strong accent, with a hint of gnashing of teeth. Gu Song was speechless for a long time. You don't know how to make a decision, or are you going to let me raise the child you had with another woman? Gu Zia was angry and full of hatred. Gu Song, you are going too far. If it weren't for Mrs. Lu, Gu Song would always be by her side. She wouldn't be too sad, wouldn't worry too much about finding someone, and her child wouldn't die because she wasn't raised well in her mother's womb. Her youngest son died. Gu Song devoted himself to caring for the child born to that woman, seeking medical advice for him, and climbing up the 100-step ladder step by step. Such deep fatherly love was so touching to her. How ironic. There is no joy or touching when the couple reunites, but only sadness, pain, and torture. Our husband and wife are separated and have many misunderstandings. We can only say that our fate is over. Gu's mother clenched her fists and said with tears in her eyes, you go back to Ziliang to be your prince, just think that we, mother and son, are no longer here. Gu Song's face changed drastically and he murmured, Gai Xiang, this is not my original intention. I know that I did something bad in the past. Now that I know that you are alive and resigned from your official position to come to Dazhu, you give me a chance. Mother Gu wiped away her tears, stared at Gu Song, and said word by word, I'll give you a chance, unless my Huiyin is still alive. Gu Song clutched the car curtain tightly, the veins on the back of his hands protruded, and he looked painful. I held Huiyin in my arms and sought medical advice. The doctor in the town said that he could not be saved. I didn't believe it. I carried him to the county seat, but on the way he disappeared. I didn't say you showed up before the child left. Then one day you appear in front of me, I can forgive you and even thank you. Too bad you didn't. No matter how painful and difficult this journey was, she gritted her teeth and got through it all. The man is dead, the eldest son is in pain and has no hope of career, and the younger son has a narrow escape in the eyes of the villagers. They all bully a woman, point fingers behind her, and laugh at her as a nemesis. All this has passed. If the eldest son is successful and the eldest daughter-in-law is filial and capable, life will be easy for them, and each will have his or her own life. You don't have to delay your future for me. Gu's mother turned around and looked at a pure white jade cup on the carriage table. She calmed down and said, "The person who asked me to marry you back then, your family background was the highest. The worst person, because you said nothing else, but you have a good heart for me, whether it is eating braised vegetables or delicacies from mountains and seas, you will not find other women. If you have 10 points in your hand, you will give it to me." Very. For this sentence, she got married. Later, her parents and brothers all died in the flood. Gu Qingsong was busy taking care of the posthumous affairs and was more considerate to her. She believed that she had not married the wrong person. Even if you have a huge fortune, it is not as good as a loving person who is considerate to you. The days are bitter, but my heart is sweet. Today's Gu Qingsong is no longer the one who gave her 10 points when he had 10 points in the past. He has not come back for so many years in Ziliang. Although there is a reason for his duty, she will never believe it because there is no reason for his son. There was such a gap between them, which was a thorn in her heart, and she couldn't accept him without grudges. 16. Drive. Gu's mother didn't want to see Gu Qingsong again. Qi Shiliu flicked his horsewhip, and the carriage passengers got up. Gu Qingsong quickly got out of the way. The atmosphere in the carriage was solemn. Suwan looked at Gu's mother with sad eyes, knocked on the wall of the car, and asked Qi Shiliu to drive back to the house. Wan, I made you laugh. Gu's mother wiped away her tears with a bitter look on her face. Mother. For so many years, I have been looking for him in despair. I knew he was gone, but I had hope in my heart that he would show up in front of me one day. But now that he has actually appeared, I didn't expect, it would be better not to show up. Okay. Gu's mother twitched the corners of her mouth full of bitterness. Lu and his younger son, although they have nothing to do with him, but they have lived together for a period of time and thought of how he took care of them meticulously. They are the ones who indirectly killed Huayan, so there is no way I can forgive him. Women have very small minds. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 276. Gu's mother thought that she was an ordinary woman, petty-minded and jealous, and could not pretend that it had not happened. I'd rather he came to me to divorce me. Gu's mother leaned against the car wall tiredly, not knowing what she was thinking of, and sighed, "That's fine. He's still alive and living a good life." The pressure on my heart was lifted, and I felt relaxed. Although what happened to him made me sad, it faded away over time. If after he became successful and famous, he had Mrs. Lu and that child by his side, but still came to Xinghua village, even if fate played a trick on him, he still hadn't seen their mother and son, and she would have accepted her fate. At least his words and deeds are consistent, and he attaches great importance to their mother and son. Gu's mother took out her handkerchief and blew her nose. Huizi and Beizu want to recognize him, I won't stop them. Suwan felt sorry for Gu's mother and hoped that she would be relieved as soon as possible, but Gu Qingsong didn't seem to be someone who gave up so easily. Huizi feels the same as you. Gu's mother didn't speak anymore, thinking of Bezu asking her when she was a child, why she didn't have a father when her other friends had dads. After Gu Qingsong comes back, will Bezu be happy knowing that he has a father? Back at Gu Mansion, Gu's mother returned to her room. Suwon felt uncomfortable when she saw the cloth placed by the secret guard on the table. You didn't go to see your mother. Gu Huizi came back and saw Suwon standing by the table, staring at the cloth on the table with a complicated expression. He stepped forward and hugged her. There was an accident. I picked up my mother and was about to leave the capital. I met King Changxing on the way. Suwon described the scene to Gu Huizi and said worriedly, my mother's character is also very extreme. The relationship between her and King Changxing is either pure or pure. Flawless. If there are flaws, she will never want it again. Unless Gu Qingsong appeared by Gu's mother's side during her most difficult time, she might have forgiven him for the sake of her children. Mom said you and Bezu would repair your relationship with him, and she wouldn't stop you. Gu Huizi frowned. I'll arrange for someone to pick up the orb and bring it back. Suwon thought for a while and nodded. He suppressed his worries about Gu Qingsong and asked Gu Huizi, are you okay here? Don't worry, there's no problem. Gu Huizi pinched her face, which was so thin that there was no fleshiness at all. Have you taken the medicine? You don't need to take medicine starting today. Suwon took Gu Huizi's arm and the two of them went back to the courtyard together. Have you eaten? If not, can I cook you a bowl of noodles? Have eaten. Gu Huizi returned to the courtyard and ordered Mon to personally take Gu Bezu back to his home. Gu's mother sat by the bed for a while, then stood up and dug out a pair of underwear from the bottom of the box. It was the last year of the family's reunion. She pulled a piece of fine cotton and sewed it stitch by stitch. Gu Qingsong's clothes were changed into better ones for Gu Huizi to wear, or they were sold. Someone took pity on her and paid some money to buy it, in exchange for the medicine that would kill Gu Huiyin. She only had this piece of clothing, which she was reluctant to sell and kept by her side for thought. Mother Gu's eyes were hot, and she continued to rummage and found Gu Qingsong's hunting bow and arrows, as well as a very old wooden hairpin. She found a piece of floral cloth, put all these things in, and opened the door. Hand it over to the secret guard guarding the door. If you know where Gu Qingsong lives, return this thing to him. Mother Gu's voice became hoarse. After thinking for a while, she asked again, go and get the orb back. Everyone has the right to know things about themselves. She couldn't accept Gu Qingsong, but she also had no right to deprive Gu Bezu of knowing the truth about her biological father's existence. The master has arranged for someone to pick up the third lady. Mother Gu was stunned for a while, then nodded, okay. The secret guard took the things and went to Gu Qingsong. Gu Qingsong was very unfamiliar with the capital city of the great Zhou dynasty. Apart from the Gu family, he didn't know anyone, so he had to find an inn to stay. The waiter brought 2 dishes and 2 jars of wine. Gu Qingsong drank one glass after another. Reviewing what Lu Gaixiang said over and over again, it was like a knife stabbing into his heart. He knew that his youngest son died in infancy, but he didn't know that it was that day. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. Master, I am Qin Luo. Gu Qingsong swallowed a sip of bitter wine and said, come in. Qin Luo pushed the door open and came in. He was stunned when he saw Gu Qingsong looking lonely. He quickly reacted and informed him of the situation he had inquired about. Lu Mao has come to Dazhu. His subordinates have not found out where he is hiding. Arranged for people to protect Gu Lu. Qin Yang also came to Dazhu, and he was kidnapped by Gu Lu. Gu Qingsong frowned. What's the situation of the Gu family in Dazhu? When did the regent become his father? When you left Xinghua village, their mother and son's life was very difficult. They never gave up looking for you. Gu Huizi fell ill and was not in good health. He almost died when he took the provincial examination. Since then, he has not taken part in the imperial examination. He left his hometown to seek medical advice and was unexpectedly appreciated by the regent, who adopted him as his adopted son. Qin Luo explained all his subsequent experiences clearly, and mentioned Gu Huizi's current situation. Emperor Jing was unconscious, the prince was imprisoned in the clan mansion, and the court was controlled by the regent's people. Some time ago, the Queen Mother, after returning to the palace and fighting against the forces of the regent, he will have a lot of resistance if he wants to completely control the imperial power. Gu Qingsong looked solemn and said, "How to say? Gu Huizi was in Jiangnan before and had good relations with Cao Guanji, the governor of Liangjiang. He was transferred to the capital, but he supported the prince and was already planning to rescue the prince." Qin Luo looked complicated. Cao Guanji's power should not be underestimated. Gu Qingsong squeezed the wine glass in his hand and wanted to help Gu Huizi, but he had no power in Dezhou and only had an intelligence network. With the regent's power in the Great Zhou dynasty, they did not lack an intelligence network. You keep an eye on Cao Guanji. If Gu Huizi is in need, you will do your best to help him at all costs. Yes. Qin Luo left the inn. Gu Qingsong couldn't drink wine. Regardless of whether Gu Huizi recognized him or not, he would find a way to meet him tomorrow. On the second day, when the sky was dark, Gu Huizi got up and changed into court clothes. Suwan opened her eyes and stared at Gu Huizi's clothes sleepily, unable to react at all. "Aren't you a civil servant? Do you still have official robes? Are you going to the morning court?" Suwan got up from the bed and arranged his official robe. "My other identity is Ting Yuan, and I have an official position in the court." Gu Huizi thought of the relationship between Cao Guanji and the Queen Mother, frowned, and held her cold hand. "You can sleep a little longer." Okay. Suwan kissed him on the face, fell down holding the quilt, and watched him leave the room. After lying down for a while, she couldn't sleep, so she simply got up and went to the front hall. Gu's mother was already waiting in the front hall, looking not very good. "Mom, you didn't sleep all night." Suwan touched the green shadow under her eyelids with her fingers. Before Gu's mother could speak, she heard brisk footsteps and looked up, only to see Gu Beizu running in quickly and calling out energetically, "Mom! Sister-in-law! I'm back! Sister-in-law, I miss you so much." Gu Beizu rushed towards Suwan. Suwan opened her arms and hugged her, kissing her hair. "I miss you too." Gu Beizu chuckled, let go of Suwan, and plunged into Gu's mother's arms. "Mom, why did you only pick me up? Are you celebrating the return of your eldest brother and sister-in-law? My brother also wants to come back together." Gu's mother was silent for a while, and under Gu Beizu's confused eyes, she slowly said, "Your father is back." "Ah." Gu Beizu was stunned for a moment, and then said happily, "Mom, do I have a father?" The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 277. When Gu Beizu was a child, she saw that other people had fathers, but she and her brothers did not. Everyone called her a wild egg without a father. Other friends in the village did not let her and her second brother play, and pushed them away. "Gu Beizu. Gu Jingyun. You don't have a father. Our mother said it was your mother who killed you. We won't play with you, or you will kill us. Get out of here, this is not the place for you." Someone took out a slingshot and flicked a stone onto Gu Beizu's forehead. A bump quickly swelled up and made her cry. When Gu Jingyun saw his sister being bullied, he exploded like a firecracker and rushed over to catch the person who injured Gu Beizu with a slingshot. After all, he was young, only 4 or 5 years old. This small body was pushed to the ground by the other party and beaten until his nose was bruised and his face was swollen. Gu Beizu was frightened and cried louder, forbidding them to hit Gu Jingyun. Mother Gu was attracted, and the group of people immediately ran away. She looked at the injuries on Gu Jingyun's face, her eyes turned red with anger, and asked Gu Beizu what was going on. Gu Beizu is young and doesn't know how to consider people's feelings. Crying, she asked, "Mom, they said you killed Daddy, and they refused to play with me and my brother, saying we would kill them." Gu's mother stared at Gu Beizu blankly. Gu Beizu didn't notice it at all, and kept asking, "Mom, I have a father, don't I? I'm not a wild egg, am I?" Gu's mother held Gu Beizu's face with her rough hands and wiped away the tears on her face. Her eyes were glistening with tears, but her tone was very firm. "You are not a wild bastard. You have a father. He has gone to a place far away." Gu Beizu was coaxed and later learned what killing death meant. She never asked Gu's mother again or played with other friends. She and Gu Jingyun were inseparable. As she grew older, she knew better that her father had not gone far away and he would never come back. She and her second brother were born without fathers. He didn't ask any more questions about his father, which made his mother sad. Unexpectedly, her mother told her now that her father was really back. Gu Beizu's eyes shone with light and she jumped up with joy. "Mom, where is Daddy?" He looked around, but saw no strange face, and asked doubtfully, "Isn't he back yet?" Seeing the anticipation in Gu Beizu's eyes, Gu's mother always knew that she longed to have a father. When she was a child, she saw other children sitting on their fathers' necks and riding horses. She stared intently, full of envy. Her heart was sour, and many words were stuck in her throat and she couldn't say them out. There was no way to tell Gu Beizu everything about Gu Qingsong in Ziliang. Touching Gu Beizu's smiling face and looking into her pure and clear eyes, Gu's mother squeezed out a smile on her face. "He just found him and is now living in an inn. If you want to see him, let me know, send you there." Gu Beizu has a simple temperament, but is not stupid. Because of the environment in which she grew up, she is extremely sensitive and delicate. She realizes that when Gu's mother said these words, she was not feeling the joy of reunion after a long separation, but an indescribable bitterness. Her father hadn't appeared in 8 or 9 years and suddenly appeared out of thin air. There must be something she didn't know about. Otherwise, why would her mother let him stay in the inn instead of sending her there in person, instead of asking someone to send her to see her father? The joy faded instantly, but the smile on Gu Beizu's face was still sweet. "Mom, I am so tired from coming from the mountains. I want to take a nap and change into clean and beautiful clothes to see my father." The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 278. Mother Gu smiled. "Have you eaten?" "Have eaten." Gu Beizu glanced at Mon. "Uncle Mon bought me wontons." "You go back to your room and go to sleep." Gu's mother let go of Gu Beizu. Gu Beizu nodded obediently and waved his little hand towards Suwan. "Sister-in-law, I will come back to play with you in the evening. I have a lot to say to you." "Okay," Suwan responded. Gu Beizu walked out of the main room briskly. When she passed by Mon, she grabbed the scabbard and pulled him to her yard. Her clear voice drifted into the front hall from a distance. "Mom, I'll ask Uncle Mon to take me to see Dad later." Gu's mother lowered the corners of her mouth and scraped the embroidery on her skirt with her fingers. She didn't know if she was telling it to herself or to Suwan. "When they were young, Jingyun and Beizu asked me about their father. I told them that my father loves them very much and is a talented person, so he goes to far away places to help people who need him. They are still young and don't know what it means to be powerful. I pointed to the wooden tools at home and told them that they were made by their father. He can hunt and the skins can be used to make clothes. They can keep out the cold when the weather is cold, etc. The image of my father is very high in my mind, so I am even more eager to see my omnipotent father. If I told the truth, it would be a disservice to her to destroy the image of her father." Gu's mother couldn't bear to make Gu Beizu disappointed and sad, and hoped that she would grow up carefree. "Mom, you should have more confidence in Beizu. She has a simple and kind heart." I hurt her before, but because of my reformation, she is willing to forgive me and treat me as a family member from the bottom of her heart, Suwon said earnestly. She has a strong mind, can distinguish right from wrong, and knowing the truth may not be a bad thing for her. The road to growth cannot be smooth. As long as she lives in an environment full of love, her healing power will be very strong, and she will not try to catch that little light. Give it your all, lose yourself. Gu's mother had no idea. When Huaiji comes, let him decide. Okay, Suwon pulled Gu's mother out of the chair. You haven't had breakfast yet, right? Let's go eat some together. Gu's mother had no appetite and didn't want Suwon to spoil her fun, so she sat with her in the side hall to have breakfast. Suwon asked Mrs. Hu to send Gu Beizu a bowl of sweet soy milk and meat buns. As soon as Gu Beizu entered his room, he closed the door with a bang. Mon looked at Gu Beizu expressionlessly, not knowing what she wanted to do. Uncle Mon, you are the person that I trust most. You must know about my father, right? Gu Beizu unsecured the door and locked it with his back. Tell me, who is my father? Didn't you do something to make your mother unhappy? Mon raised his eyebrows, surprised that Gu Beizu asked this. He heard the whole story in the front hall at that time. If Gu's mother didn't intend to tell her, he couldn't go against his master's wishes. She tilted her head and asked, my father came to the capital, and my eldest brother asked you to pick me up. Did he tell you not to tell me about my father? Never. Gu Beizu's eyes rolled. That's right. If the eldest brother doesn't want others to know, he will definitely give special instructions, right? If you don't tell me, I don't know what kind of person my father is. What should I do if I suffer from him and get hurt? Gu Beizu racked his brains before he came up with this solution. If our father and daughter meet, you can't stay here, protect me in the house. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Bao. Chapter 279. Mon. He thought about it and realized that the master was indeed as Gu Beizu said. If there was something he couldn't tell, he would tell him to keep it secret. If there was no deliberate explanation, then Gu Beizu had the right to know. I'm telling you, Mon not only recounted Gu Kingsong's deeds in Ziliang, but also recounted his entire life to Gu Beizu. By the time Gu Beizu finished listening, an hour had passed. A book of information was spread out on the table, and she read it word by word. After seeing Gu Qingsong become a high-ranking official and marry a little girl, the admiration in his heart for his father suddenly collapsed overnight. My mother took the brothers and sisters to endure hardships, while my father took my mother and little brother to enjoy the blessings. Is this the father who loves them so much according to her mother? When Erhuze fell down the hillside in a mischievous manner, his father would pounce on him and make him a human cushion. When Erhuze was sick and wanted to eat candied haws, his father would exchange the eggs saved at home for money to buy him candied haws. When Erhuze fell asleep on the bamboo bed, his father would fan him to drive away mosquitoes. She only knew that her father really loved them and would definitely be the same as Erhuze's father. No, her father is as good as Erhuze's father, but he is not to her and her brothers, but to the little brother born from his mother-in-law. Mon saw her hand pressed on the booklet, her head lowered, motionless. He couldn't help but frown, and wanted to say something. She saw a drop of water dripping on the booklet, and the ink slowly smudged, as if to indicate her mood at the moment. A dark cloud hung over it. Third Miss Mon watched the tears falling 1, 2, and 3 times. This information is still useful. If the tears fade away, you will not be able to see clearly. Gu Beizu's tears were choked by Mon's words, and her fingers were about to dig a hole in the book. Not sure how much time had passed, Gu Beizu raised her head, her eyes sparkling with tears,
and she pursed her lips. Uncle Mon, second brother said there are bad people who want to harm us, right? Gubeiza lowered her tear-stained eyelashes and poked the book with her finger. People in the village say that my father was eaten by wild beasts. This person must be a bad guy pretending to be my father, right? They couldn't beat the eldest brother and sister-in-law, so they came up with crooked tricks to make us so sad that they won. Gubeiza closed the book, threw it in front of Mon, and clenched his little fists. They are so hateful. Gubeiza stood up excitedly. I want to see him. Mon did not refuse. Wash your face. No need to wash. Gubeiza casually wiped his face with his sleeve. His eyes were wet, like a bullied little rabbit, and followed Mon to the inn where Gu Qingsong stayed. Gubeiza opened the curtain a little, poked his little head out of the carriage, and looked up at the three-story inn. Uncle Mon, do you have his portrait? It's in the car closet. Gubeiza quickly turned it out and looked at the tall and mighty Gu Qingsong in the portrait, with dust in her eyes. He was exactly like the father she imagined, like a hero. Not the hero of their family. Gubeiza stuffed the portrait into the carriage closet, jumped out of the carriage, and saw Gu Qingsong walking out of the carriage with his head held high. She stayed where she was. Gu Qingsong noticed a line of sight staring at him, followed the line of sight, and saw a little girl of 8 or 9 years old. Her watery eyes were red and full of grievance. His heart palpitated. He recognized Mon next to him and knew who this child was without even thinking. Orb. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 280. Gu Qingsong strode up to Gubeiza, his eyes fluctuating. He wanted to pick up Gubeiza, but was afraid of scaring her. He squatted in front of her, looked at her levelly and asked, Beizu, are you here to find me? Gubeiza looked more carefully. The beard on his face was unkempt and he looked particularly slovenly. The scar on his nose was fierce, but the eyes he looked at her were very gentle, just like the way his mother looked at her. She was digging into her skirt with her fingers. If Gu's mother and Suwan were here, they would have seen that Gubeiza was very nervous and guilty. Gubeiza blinked his eyes, the mist in his eyes was about to overflow, and he looked pitiful. If I don't come to you, won't you come to me? Gu Qingsong shook his head, feeling very soft. I will go find you. Then why haven't you come to us after I've been waiting for a long time? Gubeiza bit her lip, stretched out her hand, and wrenched her fingers one by one. Brother is in poor health and has been taking medicine. The sister-in-law cured him. The second brother was also in poor health when he was a child. Aunt Wang said that because her mother was worried about the second brother, she secretly cried every night. She cried too much and her eyes were bad. The wind would blow her eyes and she would shed tears. I can't see clearly at night. My mother took my second brother for medical treatment, and Aunt Wang took care of me. I ate rice soup and water. My mother said that my hair only started to grow when I was 3 years old. Because there was no milk to eat, my head could not grow hair. Gubeiza grabbed her hair and showed it to Gu Qingsong. Look, my hair is still yellow now. Also, the people in the village scolded me for being tough and trying to kill you, which is why the eldest brother and the second brother are not in good health. The little friends in the village refused to play with me and my brother, for fear that we would kill them. They often bullying me. Gubeiza lifted up her bangs, revealing her smooth forehead, and pointed at the scar caused by Suwan's blow. They used a slingshot to hit me. My second brother helped me vent my anger. My face was bruised and my nostrils were still bruised. There was blood flowing out. My mother said that my father was a great hero who could do anything. At that time, I really wanted my father to appear like a hero. Gubeiza said these words deliberately so that Gu Qingsong would know how much his mother had suffered for him, but when talking about these past events, tears flowed out uncontrollably. It was mother who showed up.
Gu Kingsong's heart felt as if a knife had been stabbed and stirred violently, making a bloody hole. The veins on the back of his hands protruded and his muscles were trembling. He tightened his jaw and bit the roots of his teeth. I asked her if she killed Daddy and whether I was a wild egg. Mom said I was not a wild egg. Dad went to faraway places to help people who needed him. Gu Beizu sniffed and looked confused. Asked Gu Qingsong, Mom didn't tell me about death, do you know? Gu Kingsong's throat tightened. Gu Beizu's words made him lose the ability to speak and could not speak a word. Don't you know? Gu Beizu stared at the tears in his eyes and wiped the tears on his face with his sleeves. I have known this since I grew up. I know that my father was not killed by his mother, but by a wild beast. I no longer envy others having a father, nor do I want a father. Or because I have a great sister-in-law who is willing to marry my eldest brother and is very kind to my mother and brothers. It is she who allows us to have enough to eat, wear warm clothes, study, and fight off those who bully us. Our family is living a good life, and they all envy me for having a sister-in-law. Gu Beizu showed a sweet smile on her face. I hope that our family will continue like this, and we will have nephews, nieces, and second sisters-in-law in the future. Nothing more. The author has something to say. Babies, today's update is complete. See you tomorrow. Good night. Okay.